most important thing. When you can understand that and commit to yourself in these small little things, small things. Speak your greatness. I am. Every time you say I am, just like you said, your body follows. I am powerful. I am strong. I am creative. I am able. I am learning. You know what? Your body follows. Maybe not perfectly, maybe a little wobbly, in the beginning, but I promise you, it follows. And every single time it follows, what happens? It leads you to a greater point of what was before. And that's the whole point. Now we're just taking it and we're focusing it. Now we understand that every time that's what happens. That's the end result when I get there. So if I can control how I respond instead of react, I can control how I get there. I'm not going to control every single thing, but I can control with how much quicker I get there. Almost always it's going to be twice as fast because you focused it. You're not following your way there. You're not focused. You're trying. You're working on it. And that's so much more important. How are you and your beautiful daughter? Good. It's so funny. Yesterday they took a picture of her at school. She struggles with writing and her fine motor skills big time. So we've been doing like the crumpling with paper and the small little crayons and little extra things. Yesterday, for the first time, she drew her first two, but completely by herself with no help, and did it a couple times repeatable. And she was so proud of it. The teacher took a couple pictures and she sent them to me. But she's holding her thing like this and she's like, the biggest cheeser grin. And it's like those small little wins. And it makes me laugh because it's so up my alley. Like it's literally everything that I deal with, I talk about, I promote what it's like my brand, what I am, right? Small, achievable, bite-sized steps, small celebrations, no matter what they are. And when she sent me those pictures, I was like, I don't think you understand. They're getting printed and they're gonna go on my fridge because um, those little small things that seem like that nobody, like anyone else could be listening to some of the things they're saying, they're like, oh, that's retarded. Why would you? But when you do that and when you pat your own back and you learn how to do that, not only do you empower yourself, you start to realize that you're worth a lot more than you thought you were, or a lot more of what you let slide because uh, you're like, it's not worth the argument. It's not worth the fight. Well, what happens is eventually you start dimming yourself down because you believe that you're not worth the fight. You're not worth the action. You're not worth those things. And what I'm trying to teach you is every single time you show up, you prove to yourself again and again you are worth it. And what happens when you start realizing you're worth it? You inherently do better. Everything you do is going to be better. You're going to strive harder, focus, learn. You're going to attempt things that you didn't think you could do. And that is what's so important. This is the most important part. That's why this is my favorite part. And trust me, there's still a couple things before you come full circle in this. But this is my favorite one because once you can learn to direct that energy instead of reacting, instead of blowing up and doing things that put you in that cycle of fear, guilt, shame, worry, all of those things, when you learn that you can focus it, the mountains you can climb, the things you can overcome, you and you do, right? Even when you start it, yeah, that mountain looks huge. And then you take that energy and all of a sudden you're three-quarters up the mountain and you're almost at the other side and you're like, how did that happen? How? You turn around and you look back, right? And you're like, I I'm all the way up here. What happened? I didn't worry so much about the end result. I knew that this is the goal, but I instead of doing that, I broke it down into small achievable steps, right? And I focused it. Okay, I can research this. Okay, I can take this one step today. I can post this. I can build this in the background. Even if I'm unsure, I can still build it and I can perfect it as I go, right? Because you start to be more empowered. You enable yourself to do more. You become fearless. Why? Because you show up. You've proven to yourself every single time that you show up, you overcome. And all that energy starts to become pride and like in a good way, not pride where I'm too smart, I'm never going to learn. Pride, like, look what I did. Look what I accomplished. I could have been snapping. I could have been in jail. I could have been in a car accident. I could have been all kinds of crazy because I let my anger get to me, because I let all that get to me. But instead, I took that and I created something from nothing, from scratch, just from an idea in my mind. I created that because I learned how to focus that. And when you start to do that, even if it's a small little thing, and the reason I focus so much on celebrating those small little wins is because when you start to get one and you say amazing, right? You say, look at what I did, and you pat yourself on the back, and you start to go, what's the first question you say? And I know y'all know, what could I do next? What is there? What could I do next? Is there another step that I could maybe do? I don't know all the way, but what is that? Hmm, maybe I'll just Google it and see what the next step could possibly be. And all of a sudden you're in full research mode and you're doing this and doing that and you're excited. And that energy that could have been fear, guilt, shame, all those things turns into excitement, empowerment, and the ability to be enabled, the want to do it, the excitement to show up and do it. That is so exciting. And that's why this is my favorite part of it, right? My favorite part of the process. Zena at Zadran, welcome, welcome. How are you? Thanks for stopping in. So this is why I talk about it, and I'm so passionate about it because once you start doing that, the things that you can accomplish. If you can go back to my videos even from a year ago and see the drastic change. And it's been over more than just a year, but I mean, if you were just to look at the 1 year, you'd be like, holy crap, like it's pretty wild. So the fire is information, right? The shift. This is the first thing that I want you to notice, right? The kindness that breaks you open. That's where your awareness comes in. That's where you start to understand. Wait, why is kindness making me so upset? Why does it make me fearful? Why does it make me uncomfortable? Almost every time it's because you haven't received enough of it. And if you haven't received enough of it, why are you relying on someone else? Because I'm sure you give kindness to everybody. You show up for them all the time. You always want to do nice things for people. But what if just for a little bit, until you start to understand that you turn that to yourself? Hold the door open for yourself. Make yourself a cookie. Buy yourself flowers. Look yourself in the mirror and say, man, you're beautiful today. You showed up just like that. You're amazing. Because you would tell your friend that, oh, that shirt looks great on you today. You would show up. Go for a walk in the park, look at the sky, and be like, man, it's a beautiful sky. It feels just the same as when you give it to someone else, except you're giving it to yourself. You don't have to wait for somebody else. And Keith, welcome, welcome. Thank you for stopping in. So these small little things, they're radical acts of self-love. But what they do is they create empowerment. They allow you the space to say, I'm worthy. Even when you say, I know I'm worthy, but are you? Do you know that? Because if you really knew that, the idea of taking yourself for a walk, the idea of going to lunch by yourself, the idea of sitting with your journal and just thinking your thoughts uh, and empowering yourself wouldn't be intimidating, right?